Every night at midnight, when the world was quiet and still, something magical happened. A train, unlike any other, would appear on the old and used tracks at the edge of town. It was called the Midnight Train, and it was no ordinary train. The Midnight Train could take children to different fantasy worlds, where new adventures and challenges awaited them. One evening, as the clock struck 12, a young boy named Oliver heard a soft whistle outside his window. He peeked out and saw a faint glow in the distance. Curious, Oliver put on his slippers and quietly slipped out of his house. He followed the glow to the old train tracks and gasped in surprise. There, waiting for him, was the Midnight Train. Its engine shimmered with silver and gold, and the carriages were painted in vibrant colors. Each window glowed warmly, inviting him to come aboard. The train's wheels sparkled as if they were made of stardust. As Oliver approached, the door of the nearest carriage opened with a gentle hiss. A friendly conductor in a blue uniform and a shiny cap stepped out. "Welcome, Oliver," the conductor said with a smile. "I'm Mr. Whistle. Are you ready for an adventure?" Oliver, though surprised that the conductor knew his name, nodded eagerly. "Where are we going?" "That, my dear boy, is a surprise," Mr. Whistle replied with a wink. He gestured for Oliver to step inside. The inside of the train was even more magical. The seats were plush and comfortable, and there were glowing lamps that floated above each seat. The windows were big and clear, showing a sky full of stars. Oliver found a seat near the window, and soon, the train began to move. It gently chugged along the tracks, picking up speed. As the train moved faster, the scenery outside changed. The town disappeared, and in its place was a lush, green forest with trees that sparkled like jewels. The train chugged on, and soon, it arrived at a large, open field filled with giant, colorful flowers that glowed in the moonlight. The train came to a stop, and Mr. Whistle appeared at Oliver's side. "This is our first stop, the Enchanted Meadow. There's something special here that needs your help." Oliver stepped off the train and onto the soft, grassy ground. The air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers. As he walked through the meadow, he noticed the flowers began to wilt, their colors fading. He felt a tug on his shirt and looked down to see a small, fairy-like creature with wings made of petals. "Please help us," the fairy said in a tiny, trembling voice. "Our meadow is losing its magic. We need to find the silver dewdrop to restore it." Without hesitation, Oliver agreed to help. The fairy led him to a tall tree at the edge of the meadow. "The silver dewdrop is hidden in the heart of this tree," the fairy explained. "But the tree is guarded by a puzzle. You must solve it to reach the dewdrop." Oliver looked up at the tree and saw a door carved into its trunk. On the door was a puzzle made of glowing symbols. He carefully examined the symbols and realized they formed a pattern. After a few moments of thought, he arranged the symbols in the correct order, and the door slowly creaked open. Inside, on a small pedestal, was the silver dewdrop. It shone brightly, lighting up the dark space inside the tree. Oliver carefully picked it up and brought it back to the fairy. As soon as the fairy touched the silver dewdrop, the meadow began to glow again. The flowers stood tall, their colors vibrant once more. The fairy thanked Oliver, and with a wave of its tiny hand, sent him back to the midnight train. Mr. Whistle was waiting for Oliver. "Well done, Oliver. You've restored the magic to the enchanted meadow." Oliver beamed with pride as he took his seat on the train. "Where are we going next?" he asked. "That's a story for another night," Mr. Whistle said with a smile. "But for now, it's time to go home." The midnight train gently chugged back to Oliver's town. As the train pulled to a stop, Mr. Whistle handed Oliver a small, glowing flower from the meadow. "A souvenir from your adventure," he said. Oliver stepped off the train, feeling sleepy but happy. He watched as the midnight train slowly faded away, its whistle echoing softly in the night. He knew that whenever he needed another adventure, the midnight train would be waiting for him at the stroke of midnight. With a smile, Oliver slipped back into his house and climbed into bed, holding the glowing flower close. As he drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of the magical places the midnight train would take him next.